In the rugged, isolated beauty of the Sierra Nevada mountains, nestled amidst towering pines and tranquil landscapes, lies a place where the veil between peace and terror was brutally torn. A place called Keddie. It was here, in a remote, unassuming cabin, that a shadow descended one spring night, leaving behind a scene of unspeakable horror, and an enigma that has haunted investigators and true crime enthusiasts for over 4 decades. This is the story of the Keddie Murders, an unsolved quadruple homicide that defies logic and continues to whisper of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary life. The year was 1981. Keddie, California, a small, close-knit resort community, was a haven for those seeking solace in nature's embrace. Cabin 28, a modest dwelling within the resort, was home to Glenna Sue Sharp, a 36-year-old mother, and 4 of her 5 children, John 15, Sheila 14, Tina 12, and young Rick and Greg. On Saturday, April 11th, the Sharp family's day unfolded much like any other. Sue, Sheila, and Greg drove from a friend's residence to pick up Rick from baseball tryouts. Along the way, they picked up John and his 17-year-old friend, Dana Wingate, who were hitchhiking. The boys were dropped off at the cabin, only to hitchhike back to Quincy a few hours later, possibly to meet friends. The quiet rhythm of the resort continued, oblivious to the monstrous events that would soon shatter its tranquility. As evening drew in, John and Dana returned to Cabin 28, the air growing cooler, the shadows lengthening around the isolated dwelling. The stage was set, though no one knew for what macabre performance. As night deepened, a sinister undercurrent began to seep into Cabin 28. Sheila, having planned a sleepover, spent the night at a neighboring cabin. Inside Cabin 28, Sue, John, Tina, and Dana were asleep. In an adjacent bedroom, unbeknownst to the horrors unfolding just feet away, Sue's 2 younger sons, Rick and Greg, along with their friend Justin Smart, slept soundly. What transpired between the late hours of April 11th and the early morning of April 12th remains shrouded in a terrifying fog. No screams were reported, no frantic calls for help, only the chilling silence of a mountain night. The morning of April 12th dawned, innocent and bright, but it would soon bear witness to a discovery that would forever etch itself into the annals of American true crime. 14-year-old Sheila Sharp returned to Cabin 28, ready to get changed for church. What she walked into was not her home, but a charnel house. The door creaked open, revealing a scene of unimaginable carnage. Her mother, Sue, lay on the living room floor, bound and gagged, her body mutilated. Nearby were John and Dana, also bound, their heads bludgeoned, their throats slashed. The horror of the sight was compounded by the eerie silence of the younger children in the adjacent bedroom, seemingly unharmed, oblivious to the nightmare that had unfolded mere feet away. But one person was missing. Tina, 12 years old, vanished without a trace, adding another layer of terror to the already horrific tableau. Sheila's screams pierced the morning air, a sound of pure, unadulterated shock and grief, announcing to the world that a profound evil had visited Keddie. Investigators arriving at Cabin 28 were confronted with a scene of organized brutality. Sue, John, and Dana had been tied with medical tape and electrical cords. Sue was partially undressed, her throat brutally cut, and a distinct imprint on her head suggested a rifle butt had been used. John and Dana had suffered severe blunt force trauma, their heads crushed with a hammer, their throats similarly slashed. Adding to the chilling puzzle, a hammer and a steak knife, believed to be the murder weapons, were found at the scene. The younger children, Rick, Greg, and Justin, were found unharmed in a separate bedroom, their faces covered, suggesting an attempt by the killers to keep them from witnessing the atrocities. Why were they spared? And where was Tina? The initial investigation into the Keddie murders was fraught with challenges. Plumas County, a small rural area, lacked the resources for such a complex, brutal crime. Early missteps and a lack of proper preservation of the crime scene hindered progress. Leads were followed, but often led to dead ends. Suspects were questioned, including known local figures and drifters, but no arrests were made. 3 years passed, and the mystery of Tina Sharp's disappearance continued to torment the Sharp family and baffle investigators. Then, in April 1984, a grim discovery was made. Tina's skull and several other bones were found near Camp 18 in Butte County, nearly 100 miles from Keddie. An anonymous phone call to the Butte County Sheriff's Office pinpointing the precise location added another layer of intrigue. The discovery confirmed the worst fears, but it also opened new avenues of inquiry. It suggested that Tina had been abducted from Cabin 28, taken to another location, and then murdered. Over the decades, two primary suspects emerged in the Keddie murders. Martin Smart, a neighbor and acquaintance of Sue Sharp, and his friend John Boubaid. Martin Smart, husband of Marilyn Smart, who was friends with Sue, reportedly harbored animosity towards Sue and had a history of violence. A chilling letter written by Martin to Marilyn stating, "I've paid the price of your love, and now I've bought it with 4 people's lives," later surfaced. Though highly incriminating, it was dismissed by some as a lover's quarrel or a ploy. In 2016, a significant piece of evidence, a hammer consistent with one used in the murders, was reportedly discovered in a pond near the Keddie resort. The hammer, believed to belong to Martin Smart, had been intentionally placed there. This, along with new DNA evidence, reinvigorated the cold case, suggesting that living individuals may still hold crucial information. Despite these developments, no one has ever been charged or convicted for the Keddie murders. Martin Smart died in 2000 and John Boubaid in 1988, taking their secrets to their graves. The Keddie murders remain one of California's most perplexing and chilling unsolved cases. 4 lives violently extinguished, a family shattered, and a community forever marked by the terror of that night. Despite renewed efforts, the truth remains elusive, hidden in the whispers of the wind through the pines and the cold, unfeeling stones of Cabin 28, which was ultimately demolished in 2004. The unanswered questions linger. Who truly committed these heinous acts? Was it a personal vendetta, a robbery gone wrong, or something far more sinister? The case stands as a stark reminder that even in the most serene settings, unspeakable horrors can unfold, leaving behind a legacy of fear and a desperate cry for justice that, even after more than 40 years, refuses to be silenced. The shadow of the Keddie murders continues to hang heavy over the Sierra Nevada, a chilling testament to a darkness that has yet to be fully illuminated.